Hi, this is Lisa with Coping with Yarn, and today I will be reading Chapter 12 of E.T. the Extraterrestrial in his adventure on Earth. So just a little heads up, there's a thunderstorm going on. So if you hear something in the background, it's not my stomach, okay? Alright, Connie from Just Another Stitch, she wanted me to make sure E.T. was dressed up today. So I decided to dress him up. I'd given this hat to Hannah, but this is Connie's Easter hat. And it's really cool. The type of stitch. This is crochet, but it looks like knit. So I believe she has it in her Ravelry store if you wanted to check out her pattern. Also, she does giveaways for her patterns sometimes on her lives, so check her out. Okay. Look at this face. Chapter 12. In the hidden spot near the landing site, the communicator continued to send its constant signal. Out, out, out into space. It had no patent, it wasn't licensed, and it looked like something you might find at a public dump. But as Elliot approached, he felt the energy that powered it, and knew this pile of spare parts had class. Night had fallen, and he was alone with the thing. Its ratchet wheel clicked faintly in the grass, like a kind of cricket calling to another. Elliot lay back in the grass and stared up at the star-filled sky. He lay for a long time, just a little punk kid with a head mostly filled with trash, but he had come to like starlight. At times, the moon seemed to open out with a great yellow light, and then a shimmering veil would flow between the stars. A soft voice would speak in an unintelligible word, or was it just the wind? He listened to the transmitter, to the code that was beyond him, but went all through him anyway. The overturned umbrella shining with moonlight shone into him. Moonlight, that's the name of my kitty. My black kitty cat. She's our Halloween cat. Inside his head, he could hear Mary wondering where he was, what he was doing out so late, but he just switched her off and spread his arms in the grass. The stars worked their veils of light, subtle streams of loveliness, moving, hypnotizing him. He lay for hours, caught by forces. Are you done? We got nature calling at us. Sorry for the interruption. We got an annoying little finch over there teasing my moonlight cat. I said moonlight, and look, here she is. That's crazy. Hi, Mooney. I know, sweet girl. Okay, sorry for the interruption. I'm going to leave it in because that's life. He lay for hours, caught by forces he couldn't resist, forces he was never supposed to have known, that no one on Earth was to have shared. Elliot shivered, not from cold, but from the feelings that were started to move through him. Cosmic loneliness had gotten into the marrow of the earth bones. He moaned in the grass under a heavy burden, for earthlings weren't ready for the hunger of the stars. The voice whispered this to him, opening his youthful mind wider and wider. Still bound to their planet, earthlings can't deal with the ache of universal love, said the golden whisper echoing through the endless corridors. Elliot stared at the night sky and seemed to go out of himself into the starshine of old, so sweetly alluring, yet whose secrets are hidden from men, and wisely so. He rolled on the grass, body buzzing with cool starfire. The message shot through his whole being, a message meant to be carried by a creature much more evolved than himself, a creature whose inner nature was such that it could love a star and be loved in return by the overwhelming solar force. The music of the spheres devoured him, taking his meager little earth soul and overwhelming it with the ecstasy of the cosmos, against which earthlings by birth are shielded. He choked back a sob, climbed to his feet, staggered over to his bike. He couldn't take it. Couldn't deal with the images that were starting to cascade over him, of space-time, of the unbearable, unthinkable curve. He pedaled, reflectors turning, little moons at his feet, round and round and round. This is Moony. This is moonlight. He pedaled, reflectors turning, little moons at his feet, round and round and round. He bounced down the fire road, shaking in every limb. Key's office had photos on all the walls. The caption beneath each photo identified the print as belonging to the Air Force, while some of the shots were merely blurs of light. Beautiful streaks moving horizontally or vertically across the sky. Others were clear enough to make a man believe, especially when the photographers happened to be Air Force recruits. Pilots with a low margin for hallucination and none for dark room hocus pocus. Upon Key's desk was a plaster cast of E.T.'s footprint, taken from the soft ground of the landing site. Beside it was a portfolio containing an analysis of the traces of fuel emission left at the site by the ship. Keyes, therefore, was not some drunk in the moonlight, not you, Mooney, nor a frustrated zany, nor a professional hoaxer. He was a reasonably well-paid government employee who, at the moment, was on the telephone with a figure far above himself in the hierarchy, to whom he was giving his assurances that the agency he headed was about to earn its salary. It will take several more days. No, the delay is unavoidable. We're following the original directive that the specimen be given a complete life support system. Keyes listened, nodded, drummed his fingers, gave another assurance. The area is under surveillance, and nothing can get by us now. Yes, very good. He hung up the phone, and it was night, during the last calm before the storm. He sipped his coffee. If he was wrong, if the net closed on nothing but air, he would most definitely be out of a job. But it would be a glorious couple of hours. The door opened, and his assistant entered. The quarantine and contamination unit is enormous. The entire house will have to be screened. So have you ever seen a plastic tent the size of a house, with tubes sticking out of it? We're going to be the weirdest looking sight in 5 counties. And about 1 million people are going to show up. I promise. They won't get through. Key's assistant looked down into the plaster print of E.T.'s foot. Why don't we just glide in, grab the spaceman, and vanish? A low-profile operation. I might prefer it that way, said Keyes, but that's not the way they want it, and he pointed to the telephone. Sure, because they want to ride the publicity of the spaceman is here. But if he's not, if we storm this neighborhood with the kind of equipment you've got here, he tapped another sheaf of papers, we're going to traumatize a lot of people. Who will sue the government? Bear it in mind. The assistant turned and left. Keyes bore it in mind, but it was only in a corner of his mind because he knew the spaceman was there. He lit a cigarette, blew smoke toward the ceiling, and tossed the dead match into E.T.'s plaster footprint. Government vehicles rolled. A certain warehouse opened its door, and uniformed attendants waved equipment onto the voluminous depths of the building. Keyes checked it all, and checked in those whose job it was to reassemble and run the equipment. The interior of the warehouse started to resemble a military hospital. E.T. opened the closet door, and Elliot fell into the pillows. His eyes were swollen, his lips trembling with star words he couldn't pronounce. He sat sobbing to himself as the aged... Okay, in the back you can hear the ice cream truck. Running in a lightning storm. Come, kids, come and get electrocuted. The space creature touched Elliot's forehead. The gathered influence of the galaxies withdrew, whirling away out of the denizens of deep space for whom it was intended. Elliot slouched down, sighing from the toes. In a few minutes, he was asleep, in a cocoon, through which the star Bane could not shine. The old voyager looked at the sleeping child and felt a bittersweet feeling in his own body, an ache and a joy that he could not understand. But then he understood that he loved this child. I am his guide and protector, though what have I guided him to? To the dark lunacy of the night? And what have I taught him? To steal from the hardware store? But Elliot, he touched the boy's forehead again. My heart light is brighter because of you. You are my teacher, my guide and protector. Has there ever been such a child as this? So selfless and serving. May every star bless you with a gentle knowing of the sort you can receive, use, and understand. He made hand signs of command to the subtle flow of moon and starlight and bent it gently around Elliot's sleeping form. A sniffing at the crack of the door indicated that Harvey the dog had arrived for his nightly sojourn with E.T. The space goblin opened the door and Harvey slunk in sideways, still not perfectly secure. He sniffed the sleeping Elliot, then circled a pillow several times and finally sat down in front of E.T. E.T. gazed at him, and the dog gazed back shiftily. But their gazes continued to merge. Gradually, Harvey's tongue fell out, and one ear curled, and as he saw in his doggy mind the great cosmic bone floating in the soup of space, his tongue flicked over his chops, and he made a low whining noise. E.T. instructed him further in telebeams of light, mind to mind about things a dog should know, while howling at the moon. That's it. We have concluded chapter 12. Do you hear that? You hear that thunder? Okay, so it was probably a month ago, something like that, maybe more, I don't know. We had a crazy hailstorm here, which I hadn't seen hail that big. I think I said in the video, I've never seen hail like this, but I probably have, like, I don't know, 15 years ago. It just had been a while. I'm gonna actually put that at the end of this video, because that was a crazy lightning storm, and you can see the lightning coming down too. It was crazy. Anyways, this one's just kind of mild. It's not too bad. All right, love you guys. Good night, and be good. We are having a hailstorm in Southern Oregon. This is the worst hail I've ever seen. It's the worst hail we've ever been in. It's just flying at us. Don't worry, I'm not outside. I'm actually in the doorway. Whoa! Did you see that lightning?